We created something that everybody emulated now.
Okay.
The blueprint is what everybody's using, because at the time there was no raves. You look around and people are doing monthly parties. Like, people were questioning the possibility of being able to do a party every month.
Yeah.
And people turn up. What are you doing specially? Why would you do a party and then there's no artist performing?
Yeah.
Who were questioning the possibilities of, like, why I will come party and I will sit down? We created that culture in the East. Go and verify.
When you did your first ever hype gig, how much were you paid?
I think it was like 5K or so.
2017,
Yeah.
5K.
Yeah. Coming up here, I had my own fair share of not having platforms. Know how it feels, 100%. So when I get the opportunity, or we get the opportunity to put talents on, shaping them and, you know, point them in directions and stuff like that, it's a thing of mass fulfillment. Do you know what it is? You cannot tell your story without us now. The very first episode was crazy because the venue itself was filled up. There was no space. There was no space downstairs. Even on the staircase, there was no space. It was so bad that we couldn't do much sales because there was no space for the waiters to pass through to get to the people. We went to the next edition. It was mad, more mad. It was crazy. People went all out. Partying with that same costume. Man. I'd be partying in the rain. Bro, the rain would be massively falling. People will not move an inch. And then what can be more crazy than that? Or people getting undressed because it's too hot. You see ladies being on their inners because, guys, normal, they will come out shirt and stuff like that, man. So many crazy things. First of all, I'm not even blown.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still working. I've left this country to go perform in another country 3 times. Where am I staying? If I can do it, what's your own excuse? I learned about hype so much that if you ask me the definition of a hype man, I can tell you word for word how it is on Google. I knew everybody who was into hype at the time. I wanted to know why they were different. Whatever the tune was doing at the time, I was doing it. I was like, why do they book him more? Why do they regard him more than other hype man? Is it because he's working in a radio? Because he's always on radio week in, week out. I took internship in a radio. I started working in a radio. And before I knew, because I could talk fluently, they hired me up to be in radio. I spent enough time there. I started checking what else is he doing. He was rolling with Olamide at the time. So all Olamide shows, he was going to be there. I'm like, okay, I need to find an artist to tag along with. Journey so far, crazy. Growth, crazy. It's just fulfilling to see that this thing basically went from this to this. At the time we started, there was no rave in the Southeast. When we started, there was no freaking rave anywhere in Southeast. Ebonyi, Abao, Umahia, Anambra, Enugu, Owerri.
Do you think the Southeastern artists have a problem?
We don't know what we have here. We relax too much in putting out our own craft and talent to be seen. Every opportunity I see is an opportunity to create, because once it goes, it goes. You know what I'm saying?
I know, say you don't dance, you don't sing, you don't do a lot of things. You get one of your videos where I see you almost want on to snake because of saying you dance. So what exactly brought you into the entertainment industry?
What introduced me was comedy.
You did comedy?
Yeah. It's like one of the first things I did, because I like comedy a lot. I kind of like motivated Uncle SP to do comedy.
When did you start hyping? When did you start hype as a craft?
2017.
2017.
Yes.
How did that happen?
It was by mistake. It's not a mistake.
This is Voice of the East. My name is Big Ajibo, just so you know. Today, we have somebody that has done a lot in the creative space, especially in the East. This is one person I respect so much. I should say, and because of looking at some certain things about this person, I tend to understand that growth is something beautiful, something wonderful, and something everybody prays for. A lot of people know him with a lot of things. Some call him Slymshady. That's his official stage name. Your favorite toy boyfriend. Very recently, I think last year, he acquired the name Stadium Boy. And Southeast Robin Hood. This is one person that gave a lot of hype men hope that hype can take you to a different height, taking the hype game to another dimension, a different perspective. He once told hype men about this international hype man. He said something about that. But then again, in my opinion, I think he's the most traveled hype man in the East. Let us welcome Slymshady, your favorite toy boyfriend. And how are you feeling? My boss.
Eh?
Slymshady.
Yeah.
How are you? How has it been?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm amazing. Fresh, nice, clean, alive, dope. I can go on and on, but then
no, let me hold you there. How does it feel to be, on almost every space you get into, every room you enter, how does it feel to be the tallest person in that room?
Even if I explain it to you, you won't be able to relate. I'm sorry.
Okay. I did not see that one
I'm
coming.
sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
Because I don't know how to. Sorry.
What's your full name? No vex. Like, tell me your full name. Tell me where you're from.
All right, my real name is Chukuneta Augustine Chibueze,
Okay.
and my title name in view is
Say it again.
Nkiti Aderoma Onino.
Nkiti Adrama Oneno.
Yeah.
That's, you tend to acquire this name, or
Yeah.
you have acquired it
No, in view.
in view.
It's actually my dad's name, but then I like it,
Okay.
and I like
Okay.
to take it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Anambra State, Neni,
Okay.
Macha local government.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what crafts brought you into the entertainment industry? What craft exactly? Because I know, say you don't dance, you don't sing, you don't do a lot of things. You get one of your videos where I see you, you almost want to turn to snake because of say you dance. So, what exactly brought you into the entertainment industry? What craft exactly?
I think what introduced me was comedy.
You did comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, from when to when?
Crazy. It's like one of the first things I did because I like comedy a lot.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I love comedy.
Okay.
Right. I like the idea of comedy, so I did it not professionally.
Okay.
But because I loved it, I was doing more of like miming comedy.
Oh.
You know, like when you see them or them basket mouth and stuff do it,
Yeah.
and then you now come to your smaller space and we do the same thing they did. And yeah, that was like one of the first things I did because of the love I have for it. You understand? And this was around. I was still very, very small. I was still very, very young then. I can't even remember the year per se. But I know I wasn't even in school at the time. You get me? Crazy fact. It was, I kind of like motivated Uncle SP, Onyobodo, to do comedy.
You get this. You motivated Uncle SP. Okay, you kind of emphasis on the kind of.
Yeah, because it was like after I did what I did at the time, because I was born in Onitsha.
Okay.
I was born in Onitsha.
Yeah.
So we attend the same church, St. Anthony.
Okay.
So there's this thing they'll normally do maybe during Easter, Christmas, basically festive period and stuff. And he himself, he was in the acting space. He was acting then with this group, I think it was called Morning Star. He was like, they're celeb, like big time. But then I came that period and then I did that whole stand-up comedy thing, which was kind of like different at the time. And, I traveled and I wasn't around for like a while, maybe like a year. And, they were looking for me. The Reverend Father Parish Priest was looking for me to come do it again because like the first time I did it was like amazing and stuff. But before I came back, he had started doing it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm like kind of like the pioneer for it in that area. But then he did it more and he, got it better. Like I said, I was just doing it for the mime. You get me? But then when I got into the space of wanting to do it professionally, I realized that I'm more hard to, creating jokes and, kind of like making it's really tough. Then I went back to dance that I liked as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that?
Dance? I did dance for like a very long time. I'm not sure. I've not stopped dancing. It's just that, I just stopped showing up. But then maybe like 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know. I can't remember for sure. I don't think I calculated the timing. Okay. But it was a freaking long time.
Okay. So when did you start hyping? When did you start hype as a craft?
2017.
2017.
Yes, for sure.
How did that happen?
It was by mistake. It's not a mistake. So by 2017, right, I had this thing I was doing. I had this show I was doing. It was like an every Sunday show that I was putting together, right? It was booming. And I liked the idea of call and response. I liked the idea of people being happy.
Yeah.
I was kind of like doing the stuff with my DJ, giving the counts and all of that. I didn't know somebody was watching me.
Okay.
Do you understand? And at the same time, I didn't even know what hype was. I didn't know the name hype, but I liked what Dotun was doing.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know the name to it. And I wasn't even interested to do it. in doing it, rather. Do you understand? I just like the idea because I saw him at Star Trek 1 or 2 times. Because at then, I was already performing in Star Trek as a dancer, right? So I saw him do it and I thought it was amazing and crazy to control people like that. I liked the idea, but I just didn't want to fuck with it because I was already happy dancing and like I was doing my own thing dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then, at that time when I was doing those shows, I didn't know somebody was watching me. And then this person now calls me and said, I'm like, oh, so I'll need you to come hype in to some event. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, or I don't know if I can do it. The person's like, you can do it because I saw you doing it subconsciously. And I was scared. But then, you know, they were offering to pay me, of course. I'm like, okay, I'll come. And then this was somebody I respected, so I couldn't say no to him. So I had to go and Google, check, hey, I realized it was what Dotun was doing. You know, I started checking videos, blah, 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 preparing myself. I was super scared anyway, but then I showed up and did good. Now, one of the craziest things, I mean, one of the greatest push I had towards this craft was the person I played alongside with was DJ TTB. DJ TTB is one of the biggest DJs in Nigeria. And imagine after playing with DJ TTB, this was when hype was still in its baby stages. And TTB says, yo, did they bring you from Lagos? I'm like, no, I stay in Okayo. And he says, nah, bruh, you are too good to be here. You are fucking amazing. I'm like, and my head went crazy. And that was all I needed. Took the rest, went off, started reading about hype. I learned about hype so much that I know, if you ask me the definition of a hype man, I can tell you word for word how it is on Google and stuff like that. That's how much I studied it. That's how much I started checking everybody that was doing it. I knew everybody who was into hype at the time. I wanted to know why they were different. I wanted to know why Dotun was being rated number 1. I wanted to see what he was doing differently. So whatever Dotun was doing at the time, I was doing it. So I was like, okay. I was like, why do they book him more than other hype men? Why did they regard him more than other hype men? So I was like, oh, is it because he's working in a radio? I took internship in a radio. I started working in a radio. I was like, oh, maybe that's because he's always on radio week in, week out. That's why the brands are seeing him and blah, 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 blah. Then I took up radio gig, started doing internship. And before I knew, because I could talk fluently, they hired me up to be in radio. So I spent enough time there. I started checking what else is he doing. He was rolling with Olamide at the time. So all Olamide shows he was going to be there. I'm like, okay, I need to find an artist to tag along with. And I was blessed at the time. Pepe Nazi was on tour. And guess what? Pepe Nazi is his younger brother. So like that, the rest is history.
So when you did your first ever hype gig, how much were you paid?
My first ever hype gig? Nah. I think it was like 5K or so. I had a 5K or 10K. I can't remember because I told you it was 2017.
2017, yeah. 5K.
Yeah.
Oh.
5K or 10K.
Okay.
I didn't ask.
Okay.
It wasn't like I told them that, oh, this is my charge. Just come through. I'm like, I came through.
Okay. So in the course of studying about hype, looking at Dotun and some other hype guys, how did you get your niche?
So I did it all.
Okay.
Then I started knowing that, oh, I'm more comfortable in this space. This space pays more. This is this and that is that. This is how different it is. Hyping in a club is a different approach. Hyping in a concert is a different approach. Hyping for Gen Z, different approach. Hyping for millennials, different approach.
Okay.
Hyping in a wedding, different approach. But somehow I think I worked too hard that I can blend into all of these places comfortably with no stress. But then again, I always want more. I think I was always going in out of clubs. Reasons being that I don't like being in the same thing and setting for a very, very long time. So I always give myself time and like, oh, if I do club for like 4 months or 6 months, I'll head out, come back again. So it feels new in my eye and stuff like that. Yeah. But I like concerts a lot. Come anytime, any moment, concerts, raves. I'll fuck it up for you anytime, any day. But club is always like is a build up. Depending if it was in Lagos works with timing, so they can give you like, oh, in the club your time is like this. Here you have like maybe like 2 hype men in a club that have to work from sun up to sundown. So you have to like build up until the energy starts going down. So the longer you can be able to hold it for the DJ, it's like a different vibe entirely. Wedding is also something else burials, or rather celebration of life, is also something different. So, but I know how to blend in all of them. So I can't really say that I like this one more than this one, because it's always it's different vibes for me.
Okay. So weddings, club gigs, raves, concerts, which of those pays you more?
Trying to speed more. Ha. I can't put which for which.
Okay.
But I think wedding is sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Wedding is sweet. Wedding is sweet, yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
Let's bring it down to Unboxed Party. How did you come about that name, Unboxed?
man, again, I didn't create the name. I had somebody create the name.
Okay.
Because I wanted something different. I wanted something that sounded different. So I reached out to my guy, Baker. Because I feel like Baker is talented when it comes to, if you want to create something and like brand something, Baker is good with it, especially with parties and stuff like that, or events. So I knew he was the guy. So I told him like, oh, this is what I want to do. See, I want to create something maybe like this, but I wanted to have a twist of my own thing because I'm trying to do this. I just kind of like explain. And I told him, take 1 week, just give me a couple of things. This boy came back barely 24 hours later and just dropped the name, and then I didn't even want another one. He just clicked for me. Do you understand? Because it's like, every time I always say, I think outside the box, unboxed, okay, what is in the box? It's limitless. We don't know. Until you come, you find out.
Okay. So when did Unboxed start? Which year?
September 22nd, 2022.
2022. Where was your venue?
Mr. Smith. It's a rooftop. It was like it's a small space. It was like maybe for like 150 to 200 people.
Okay. Okay. With regards to when it started till now, how has the journey been for you so far?
Bruh, everybody knows. Like, you cannot come, if you come to Unbox now, like, or even put it out there as a questionnaire, I'm like, oh, everybody almost knows that the first venue was like less than 200 people, or less than 150% people know the story, because we try to integrate as much as possible because we wanted people to be a part of it. The journey so far, crazy. The growth, crazy. It's just fulfilling to see that, this thing basically went from this to this to it's at the time we started, there was no raves in the Southeast. None. No one. When we started, there was no freaking rave anywhere in Southeast. Ebonyi, about Umahia, Anambra, Enugu, Owerri. No freaking raves in Southeast.
So
That verify. So it was, at the time, people, like, we created something that everybody emulated now.
Okay.
Everybody's emulating. Like the blueprint is what everybody's using, because at the time there was no raves. And when we started, people now, you look around and people are doing monthly parties. Like, people were questioning the possibility of having to being able to do a party every month, and people would turn up. Do you understand? Like, what are you doing specially? You understand? Why would you do a party and then there's no artist performing and stuff like that? But then we're like, nah, this is the thing. This is where the industry is going to at the time. This is something they have over there they don't have here. Do you understand what I'm saying? And people were questioning the possibilities of, like, why I will come party and I will sit down. We created a culture in the East. Go and verify.
Okay. So talking about Unboxed parties, how many Unboxed parties do you host in a year?
Minimum. In short, it gets crazier because, like, right now this year, our calendar has about, I think, I'm not the one that crafts the calendar, but I'm sure that I know we'll have up to like more than 15.
Okay.
Chance down. But now, as the time goes on, there's like demands get crazy. And, sometimes brands will just want to creep up to you at a time, and then you have to start creating. And sometimes we want to test out waters. Like, for example, now I've not been to Ebonyi before.
Okay.
And this year we'll have to do Ebonyi. I know that we integrated like, oh, we'll have to do Ebonyi. Okay. Now, if we do Ebonyi, we have to go back again. But now, like, I think the first edition has to be testing waters, introducing people to it, what it's like, what we are like, what our experiences are like. And then from there, there's like a bracket that says, oh, okay, we'll have to like go back like 3 more times. After the first time we'll go. But then the first one will help us craft how we're going to position, what the people are like, what their timings are like. And so on and so forth. So that will help us determine.
Okay.
Just so at least now minimum of 15
Okay.
in a year across.
Okay. With regards to Unboxed, we have seen a lot of collaborations. Unboxed with this particular brand, Unboxed in Abuja, Unboxed in Lagos, and all of those things. How do you?
We've not done Lagos, by the way, but
Okay, probably that's okay. I'm coming to that part. But Unboxed in Abuja, you've done that of Enugu, going down to UNN, going to Owerri. So, how do you do this collaboration thing? How does it work for you?
in Igbo, that's not come a million and both.
Okay.
So collaboration over anything.
Mm.
If you collaborate, there's more chances of getting to more people.
Mm.
Do you understand? There's more chances of making more money.
Okay.
There's more chances of building more of whatever the dream is, or whatever the deliverables are for the people.
Okay.
And when ideas come together, it becomes better. When one person is pushing something and then two people come to it makes it easier.
Okay.
Like these and many more are like the reasons for collaboration.
Okay. Is
basically.
there any collaboration that you have had that you would never go for again?
Hey. So far,
Mm.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because then again, it's always an opportunity for you to learn.
Mm.
Do you understand? So
Yeah.
there are things you don't know. So there are things the person you're collaborating doesn't know too. Do you understand? So they learn, you learn. Do you understand? Yeah.
So far you've done Unboxed in Enugu. Oka is
Umahia.
like the capital city.
Yes.
Umahia, Owerri. You've done in Abuja. You've gone to Nsukka too.
Ekiti.
So okay, Ekiti too.
Calabar.
Uyo. Where again?
Uyo. Yeah.
Okay. Amongst all those places, where did you record your craziest moments?
Damn. This particular question here is a problem.
Okay.
Do you know why?
No.
Because for every time we're like, guy, what we did, this place was mad. I don't think that, and then you do the next one, there's like a madder moment. The very first episode was crazy because the venue itself was filled up. There was no space. There was no space downstairs. Even on the staircase, there was no space. It was so bad that we couldn't do much sales because there was no space for the waiters to pass through to get to the people and stuff like that. Like I said, it's a rooftop, and it was. So we're like, man, this is madness. Went to the next edition. I think the next one was Halloween or something. It was mad, more mad, because aside from seeing people actually dress the part, which is not something we see in the East every day, it was crazy. People went all out and stayed in the partying with that same costume. Man, I'd be partying in the rain. Bro, the rain will be massively falling. People will not move an inch. And then what can be more crazy than that? Do you understand? Or people getting undressed because it's too hot. You see ladies being on their inners because guys normal, they will come on shirt and stuff like that, man. So many crazy things. I can't pinpoint one. There's a lot. Do you understand? And this next one now coming up in March, like
Okay. So with regards to Unboxed and finances, how do you get your finance? What do you do to gather money? Because you cannot tell me that it's only from the ticket sales that you get money to put up the kind of stage you do.
I use our house rent to.
So where are you sleeping?
Under the bridge now.
How do you source for your finances?
Man, it's always it's personal finances. It's it started with personal finances, and then we're saving here and there. It's not always easy, trust me. But more of personal finances, the team's personal finances, put it together, try to make something out of it. Sometimes you break even, sometimes you don't even break even, and then you have to start from beginning. There are losses, We've had brands coming 1 or 2 times, so it kind of like reduces the load of the things we're doing because our production is like top notch. We don't mess around with production because we want to make sure that people have a good experience. We don't mess around with our experience areas. We want to make sure that people have enough games to play on. We want to make sure that people have enough things. Like when they come to the experience area to take pictures, there's always something different to see that, like, oh my God, this is cute. And then the next day you're already seeing it all over the place on the internet because good experiences. So we don't mess around with experiences, we don't mess around with production, good music and everything.
Okay. So you acquired the name Stadium Boy last year.
Mm.
Okay. How did that come about?
Yeah, I think, the name came up. I hadn't even done the stadium before the name came up.
Okay.
It was more like affirmation.
Okay.
Yes, that when I announced that I was going to do a stadium, I was like, and then it stuck after the affirmation, after the event happened. Just done, yeah. Selling out 20,000 capacity stadium in Anambra State.
No. Well, what was the experience like for you?
I did feel like, man, it was when I got out to perform and I saw that the place was filled up. But when I got to the stadium first, to the backstage, I know the place was filled up. So I was like, God, guy. They already sent me the video first of all, like, okay, Nat, we are on, type shit like that. When I got there, it was a different feeling because people, then when I got on stage, I could now see everybody.
Yeah.
Bro, I was lost for some minutes. And then I forgot my lines or the things I was supposed to say. Like my performance, like, because I got carried away. In that moment, I started thinking, like, guy, there was a lot of guy and blood of God in there, and fuck, because this is something literally a lot of people didn't believe in. This is something a lot of people talked down on. This is something people didn't want to be a part of because they felt like, what is going to be the benefit in this? What are they going to gain or whatever? Like, is this even going to grow? It's not going to be a thing because this whole thing came at a time when it was all about lifestyle. People were popping bottles and stuff like that. It didn't seem possible that you could gather that amount of crowd without an artist without a celebrity, nothing. Just telling people to come together and have a good time. In that moment, I thought back at the first time we ever did it in a very, very small venue, and it was a feeling moment. That's all I can tell you. It was like hard work paying off in real time.
Okay. So from last year, March, they're doing it again this year. And you tagged it east to west. Where did that come from? The name east to west.
So now the stadium edition, always for Unboxed, is like a collaboration between myself and Unboxed. Remember, like, these are two different
people.
So like a collaboration between I and them. So now east to west was coined from the fact that last year I had I kind of like had a crossover. I started getting my bookings in the west, in Lagos, per se. Do you understand? I got loads of bookings in Lagos. That had me traveling a lot. So I felt like oh, finally I think I have a spot there now because I can go and come back, So, like, what better way to introduce myself there more comfortably than do my thing there? So that's how I now coined east to west. So there's going to be one here in the east and one in the west.
Okay. Now, when you officially announced the east to west flyer, something was trending, and it was Brotherman. You get so you did something with it. You showed a video of yourself, wanting to do the man-to-man challenge and all of those things. Now, when you were, reposting what people posted and stuff like that, you mentioned some names like Big Shark, names like High Profile, names like Big Shoe, names like Fraud or something like that. So what's relationship do you have with those names?
Did I really mention the names though?
Yeah, you just said something, but in the course of
Did I mention the names though, or did I drop a bar?
you dropped a bar that's
So
connected to those names.
why? How do you know it's those names?
But you have a relationship with High Profile. You have a relationship with Big Shoe.
Wait, first of
Do
all,
you have a relationship with these people?
let me allow my question before your own question comes in.
I'm the person asking
So
those
first
questions.
off, how do you know I'm talking about those people? How do you know I'm talking about those people and not some other thing?
That is why I'm asking you this
Why do you
question.
feel like when I said
are you talking?
why
Are
do
you
you feel
talking
like-
about? Are you talk? Were you talking about those people?
No, I wasn't talking about those
In every honesty,
Yes.
you were not talking about those
because I'm like if you remember if you can remember the bars I dropped, then probably I can start explaining to you.
people. You said something about a shoe being big or something like that, but I cannot remember exactly how you put it.
These are the issues. So now if I explain to you now that me saying that it can't fit because the shoe is big,
okay.
do you understand? How about me saying that you can't relate because I'm freaking tall, you can't see things from where I'm seeing it.
That's how you want to put it.
You can't fit in. You can't So you see?
Okay. That's been said.
Okay.
What of the content you pushed out? This content of you, a group of people seated, having some kind of conversations and saying some kind of things about filling the stadium with canopies and bringing in secondary school people to fill up and all those kind of things. Now, the tags on the table had something like Don Cheleku, Virgin Mary Boys, then something like Junkie 4 band, you get. And somebody went on social media to say that Junkie 4 band meant this name, Funky 4 Gang or something like that. And Don Chiliku meant Don Chilenche, then Virgin Mary Boys meant Jesus Boys and stuff like that. And even before we came on this interview, you said something that all those things that were said there were said by people actually. So what kind of backlash do you get after that event? You get that, made you feel or made you understand or made people say this kind of thing?
I mean, it's absolutely normal to get backlash when you do stuff. You understand? If you don't get backlash or if people don't talk when you do something, then you're not doing something right. You understand what I'm saying? You too, you're into events and even in the work, your day-to-day work. I'm sure like right now, when this interview goes up, people are going to say, oh, why is he sitting like that? Why is he talking like that? And do you understand what I'm saying? It's absolutely normal. You also have things people have said when you do stuff. So yes, I got backlash after the event. I always get backlash after every event. People want to feel like they can do better or you're not doing as much as you're supposed to do and stuff like that. So it was kind of like got everything together and just it's like after saying much, you can't say those things to me. Because I feel like if you want to correct me or you want to tell me things to do better or you want to help me, you talk to me. So, but then when I walk in, everybody still stays quiet and still feels like I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm doing good, I'm doing amazing, I'm putting the city on the map and blah, 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 blah. So it was like, when life gives you, how did they talk about?
Pineapple.
If life gives you lemon, you make lemonade.
If you give pineapple,
if you give you pineapple, you make smoothie. Do you understand? So
if
I got the
lemon.
lemon.
You make unboxed.
Amen. Or you make stadium boy. So I feel like I got the lemon, squeezed it as hard as possible. I made my lemonade. It was a perfect opportunity for me to use that as a content to announce my stuff. Silence the crowd and keep doing what you're doing. Listen, it even goes out to everybody doing whatever they are doing. Just stand. So far as you know you're putting in your 100 and you are on that path solidly, lock in. Forget what they talk. Keep going. You understand? People are always going to talk, man.
Let's bring it down to brands because you'll say something about brands. What is the craziest disheartening offer that you have ever gotten from brands or from a particular brand?
We'll give products.
We'll give you products and
Yeah, man. They'll give products. I say they'll give products, and then they want exclusivity and all of that. And anybody they do events goes, I be this one. They just know they say once they tell you they give products, everybody does it.
Okay. So now in the Southeast, a lot of people feel that brands don't come in fully to sponsor events that are happening in the Southeast. Do you share in that opinion?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
But gradually, I don't know. I can't say there are reasons as to not wanting to take part or not coming in fully the way they would do maybe in Lagos and stuff like that.
Let's now take it to the talents that do performances in Unboxed. Seeing young people putting out their best, trying to do some crazy creative things on your platform. How is that feeling for you?
Man, this is amazing. Is one of the things I live for. Do you understand? Because coming up here, I had my own fair share of not having platforms, even when I know how extremely good I am. This is like we're down back to like my dancing days and everything. Do you understand? I know how it feels, 100%. So when I get the opportunity, or we get the opportunity to put talents on, or shaping them and point them in directions and stuff like that, and actually see them doing those things and blowing up, at least in the region. It's a thing of mass fulfillment. Do you know what it is? You cannot tell your story without us now. Do you understand? So yeah, we're always open to that. We're always watching. Everybody in the team is always looking. I say, this guy's trying now. See what he's doing. He's doing this. He's doing that. I feel like let's put them on opening or something, and then we reach out. People keep on referring. Oh, this is my guy. We just always keep watching. We're always watching. Well, we're those people that it's not always all about the big names for us. We've never used big names now. Have we used big names? We've never used big names. It's the young talents. It's the next to blow talent. You understand? We started off with most people from nothing. Yeah. So
I was having a conversation with an artist, and the guy said something. He said, for you to break even, you need to blow in the East and blow in Lagos. What do you have to say about that? Do you think that this statement is supposed to be the case?
Let me shoot you back now. Am I blown? Am I blown in Lagos?
Are you?
Am I blown in Lagos?
I don't know.
You don't know? I'm not blown. First of all, I'm not even blown.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still working. But I've left this country to go perform.
Okay.
In our country. Twice. 3 times. Where am I staying?
You just said that you use your house rent too.
Yeah. Oh, at the Standard Bridge, Foka. You understand? So if I can do it, what's your own excuse?
Do you think the Southeastern artists have a problem?
I feel like we relax too much. We don't know what we have here.
Okay.
We relax too much in the things in putting out our own craft and talent to be seen.
Okay.
We relax way too much.
Okay.
Let me tell you one of the things here that most of you are trying to run to Lagos would regret when you get there. See, in the East like this, I think I'm here now. Go better, anywhere, any freaking where, at this junction, in front of the estate, beside police station, anywhere, put up my video and shoot a video. Nobody will disturb me. No freaking person. If anything, they would all gather themselves, even they hail me. You can't try it in Lagos without dropping money. I swear. So as a struggling, upcoming talent, whatever it is you're doing, how much do you have that maybe, even if you don't rent camera or rent equipment, you're using your phone, you go carry people who come outside now, we go help you the record while you're doing what you're doing. At the end of the day, you go buy water, spend transport. Now imagine having to pay how do they take all those algorithms and stuff.
Yeah.
And no, it's not small money, because they will put you billing like this because you're recording with your phone. Once you raise up your phone, you're paying money. Everybody knows this in Lagos. Who is charging you in the East for that? So when you look at all this and see how the free liberty we have here to record as much as we want, what's your excuses again? Forget.
Yeah.
Leave aesthetics, man.
So let's go back to the plan for East to West Slymshady invasion happening on the 29th. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what should we expect?
Yeah, actually right now, Bob, we are working tirelessly, endlessly, trying to make sure that we divide the stadium like in a very, very good way.
Okay.
That is going to be very comfortable
to
sell, put enough canopies in places so that but 29th match is going to be crazy and one for the books.
Okay. So after East, you're heading to the West?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about how you put in creativity with regards to your content. How do you have a team that does that, or everything comes from your head?
Yeah, so I have a team. I would always run it by. Do you understand?
Okay.
They bring their own stuff, I bring my own stuff. But then for me, everything is content too.
Okay.
You understand? Every opportunity I see is an opportunity to create, because once it goes, it goes. You're not saying anything. You might not be able to recreate it and stuff like that. So but then I run it by my team gets their own stuff, and yeah.
So for you, your career as a person, where is that one place you would love to see yourself? Like stage where which stage be that stage where we say, Omo, I don't look up to the stage and I must definitely get there.
See, yeah, every stage is a big stage for me.
Okay.
I say this everywhere, every time. Every stage is a big stage for me. The next stage is the biggest stage.
Okay.
See, even if after I do a stadium and then I have to come into a room like this to perform, that's my next big stage, because you never know.
Yeah.
You don't ever freaking know. There are places, even if you say, you should do O2 like this now, and after O2, there's still another place. Just so the next stage is the big stage.
Okay. So this is Voice of the East, and we are rounding up. So I want you to do two things for me. First, there are a lot of artists that are looking up to you.
Sorry.
A lot of people want to get a little bit of what you have achieved so far.
Hi.
I know that there is no footprint, there's no blueprint, there's no
there's
compass.
Blueprint,
Abi, blueprint day. Okay, you guys
beat you.
So just one or two things, because a lot of people look up to you.
Yeah.
So one or two things you have to tell those young people that are, coming in or already in the industry, but they're trying to find their fit. Just one thing or two things you have to tell. Something that you learned the hard way.
First off, you are everything that you want and everything that you need. It is you. It starts from you, it starts with you, and it ends with you. So if you cannot do it, how do you expect other people to do it for you? If you don't stand up and move, you wait until people come move you. You gotta work first. Always be in motion. Nobody's God. Absolutely nobody. So don't feel like anybody is going to be the reason why you should stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep working, keep pushing, keep using, make sure that any opportunity doesn't just slide past you. Use that opportunity as that big opportunity. The next opportunity should always be your biggest opportunity. Once you treat everything like that, trust me, you won't be seen less. Don't always feel like you're being used. See it more like as an opportunity to experience. Because here's the flip side of this whole thing, of this whole being used and whatever case may be. If people that you feel like are using you start asking you to pay for those times that you want to be there, can you afford it?
Say this again, please.
If the people that you feel like are using you in
Yeah.
the times that they want you to be here. If they ask you to start paying for those times, you see how they pay now, say they want to do masterclass.
Yeah.
Do you understand? People are now being wise about it and branding it and stuff, but then it is actually like that. If you start paying for experience, would you be able to afford it in this place, this position now where you day now where you one day where this person day? If they tell you to pay this amount of money for this shit, would you be able to afford it? So don't always feel like you're being used. See it as an opportunity that you have to make use of and maximize as much as possible.
Okay.
Do you understand? You see how I'm here telling my story? So this is me telling my story and I'm telling that as much as possible because I have the opportunity to be here, so I maximize as much as possible. Do you understand? So once you're that person, no worry. The sky itself no go even be a starting point. It will just be where they stand up from.
Okay.
Kind of like sound the same thing, but yeah.
Okay, so
we need you. So motivation I do like this.
Yes, no, you don't see them now. You don't talk.
I don't really get sense like that. Believe me.
So just tell us something that you have not said elsewhere about east to west. This is an opportunity for you to say something that you have not said elsewhere about east to west.
I beg, see how they suffer.
You don't beg this one before. You don't talk on before. Just something that you have not said elsewhere about east
something I've not said elsewhere.
Yes, something that you have not said elsewhere about east to west. Think of a different line, something that you have not recorded before, something that is totally different.
Okay.
That you are going to say to push east to west. This is like crazy platform. Do you know how many followers you have on Instagram?
Okay.
Like, giving you opportunity to say your crafts, bro.
Oh, amo, onye kamga koro. Abuna me sell out stadium, onye kamga kolo. Nyalo no makao. Oh, makamwo. Efere sakwara no nunko. Ngwangwa bakwara no nunko. Utalium pecharam na the last stadium. Nko. So guys, please 29th March, so that my enemies will not laugh at me, so that my ops will not laugh at me, so that it's going to be, so that next year when I go do another content, it will not be like the one of the Encheleku and the rest. It's going to be a different story. It's going to be a story of upliftment and praise. So everybody, please come out, Oka City Stadium, 29th March, and the date for Lagos is coming. But for the meantime, let's make history here first, because this is our own. This is something that at least nobody in my line of craft has done yet, except me. Do you understand? But I'm doing it again. I'm trying to make you believe that if I can do it, you can also do it. You understand? 29th March.
Okay, 29th March, Oka. We are up and running. We are active. This is Voice of the East, and we just had a lovely session with Slymshady, your favorite boyfriend, Southeast Robin Hood,
Clock it,
and the Stadium Boy. What's that other name you're going to adopt a relation friend for that?
Kitty Adamon in one. Do you know what it means?
Kitty Adamon, I'm a boy.
Kitty
Adamon one.
No, two.
Okay, two. Your dad is one. Okay, and that's it. My name is Big Ajibor, and we are always gonna come to you from Voice of the East, bringing you premium content and telling you.
Oh, quick one. You don't buy tickets for my show.
Is it?
You don't buy tickets.
Thank you, Alpha. If I know you
don't buy my ticket for my show.
If I know your lineup,
you don't buy ticket for my show.
I'll go buy for my babe.
You don't.
If I know Bugatti don't, they won't rush me.